The glass was colder than it should have been. Condensation slid down the stem, dripping onto my fingers as my mother-in-law leaned closer. "Special sangria," she said softly. Her smile was flawless. Too flawless. The party around us hummed with laughter and violin music. Crystal glasses clinked. Someone opened another bottle of wine. But her eyes watched me. Not warmly. Carefully. Like a scientist observing an experiment. I stared at the drink. Dark red. Thick slices of orange floating on the surface. Beautiful. Deadly, maybe. 15 years in this family had taught me something simple. Nothing Maria did was accidental. "Drink," she urged. Just one word. I lifted the glass slowly. Everyone was watching the fireworks being set up outside the terrace. No one noticed the tiny movement of my wrist, the quiet exchange. I turned slightly and placed the glass in front of her husband instead. A harmless mistake. A casual switch. He laughed, grabbed the drink, and raised it. "To family," he shouted. The word echoed through the villa. Family. The first sip touched his lips. 30 seconds later, the glass shattered on the marble floor. His body followed. A heavy collapse. Gasps exploded around the room. Someone screamed. Maria stared at her husband convulsing on the ground. Then she looked at me, and for the first time in 15 years, her smile disappeared. People think betrayal is loud. It isn't. It's quiet. It hides inside polite dinners and holiday calls. 15 years earlier, I had married her son. A charming man. Polished, successful, admired. The perfect husband. Maria loved reminding everyone she had chosen me for him. "You're lucky," she'd whisper. Back then, I thought she meant it kindly. I didn't realize she meant controlled. The first crack appeared 5 years ago. A document hidden inside my husband's office drawer. A trust fund contract, signed by Maria, not by him. Not by me. It controlled everything. Our house, our accounts, even my daughter's inheritance. All tied to Maria's approval. I said nothing, but I started watching, listening. And then the second betrayal surfaced. Not financial. Personal. A message left open on his phone. A name I didn't recognize. Not romantic. Worse. Strategic. "Mother says the timing must be careful." Mother. Maria again. I realized something chilling. My marriage wasn't a marriage. It was a structure. A controlled environment Maria had designed. And I was the subject, not the partner. But that still wasn't the real secret. The real truth was buried deeper. And it took 10 more years to uncover. I became patient. Very patient. On the surface, I played my role perfectly. The obedient daughter-in-law. The calm wife. The mother who smiled in family photos. Inside, I was studying them. Phone records. Bank transfers. Old medical files. DNA reports. Maria underestimated one thing. Silence. People confess everything when they think you're harmless. One evening, I overheard her speaking to my husband on the balcony. "You must never tell her," Maria whispered. "I know," he replied. "Tell me what?" That night, I began digging deeper. Hospital archives. Birth certificates. Old legal documents. It took months. Then one day, a sealed envelope arrived. A DNA test. I had submitted samples weeks earlier. Mine. My husband's. My daughter's. I sat alone in the kitchen. The house was silent. I opened the report slowly. Line by line. Numbers. Probability percentages. Clinical language. Cold truth. My hands didn't shake. My breathing didn't change. But something inside me went still. Completely still. Because the results said one thing clearly. My husband was not my daughter's father. But I had never cheated. Never even come close. Which meant someone had changed something. At the hospital. At birth. Someone powerful enough to alter records. Someone who controlled everything. Maria. Suddenly, 15 years of manipulation made sense. My daughter was never meant to be mine. She was placed with me, a piece on Maria's chessboard. And I had been raising her like a fool. But Maria made one mistake. She assumed I would break. Instead, I started planning. The final proof came 3 weeks before the party. Another DNA test. This time between Maria and my daughter. The results were immediate. Undeniable. Maria was her biological mother. Not grandmother. Mother. The room felt very quiet when I realized it. Maria had a child years ago. A secret child. And she had placed that baby in my arms. Why? Simple. Control. My husband wasn't infertile. He was obedient. Maria needed an heir she controlled completely. So she created one, then assigned me the role of mother, a caretaker, a puppet. I brought the report to my husband. He read it. His face drained of color. "You knew," I said quietly. He didn't answer. Silence was confirmation. 15 years. 15 years of lies. I folded the report and placed it back in the envelope. "I see," I said calmly. He tried to speak. I raised a finger. "Don't." Because the truth had already changed something inside me. I was no longer angry. Anger is messy. I was something else now. Precise. Maria's party was perfect. Crystal chandeliers, imported wine, politicians and investors laughing around the garden. She loved spectacle, loved power. So I gave her the stage she deserved. Earlier that day, my daughter-in-law had called me, her voice sharp. "If you want to join Thanksgiving, come wash the dishes." I smiled. "Enjoy," I replied. Later that evening, I posted photos online. My new villa in Switzerland, snow-covered terraces, champagne beside a private pool, luxury, freedom. My phone rang immediately. Once, 10 times, 30, 71 missed calls. Greed has a sound. It sounds like desperation, but the real moment was the sangria. Maria handing me the glass. The poison, her eyes gleaming with quiet victory. She believed she was eliminating the last witness. What she didn't know was that I already knew everything, so I switched the glasses. And now her husband lay twitching on the marble floor, guests panicking, paramedics rushing, Maria frozen in place. I leaned close to her ear and whispered one sentence, "I know about the baby." Her face collapsed, not with grief, with terror, because she understood instantly. Her empire, her secrets, her control, all exposed. The ambulance lights painted the villa red and blue. Police questions. Chaos. Whispers spreading through the guests. I stepped outside onto the terrace. Cold night air. Snow beginning to fall. My phone buzzed again. Another call from my daughter-in-law. I ignored it. Behind me, Maria screamed my name. I didn't turn around. Some truths don't need witnesses. Some revenge doesn't need applause. I walked down the marble steps slowly. 15 years of manipulation ended in one quiet moment. One switched glass, one exposed lie. They had built a prison around me, but they forgot something simple. Even the calmest prisoner eventually studies the lock. And when the door finally opens, you don't run. You walk away without looking back.